Welcome everyone. So my name is Paul Magnaghi. I'm our Zoom ISV platform leader here in the Zoom organization, and I'm really happy to be here today with Sid and to talk about this partnership and some of the things that these guys are going to be able to do. So with that, I'll turn it back to Sid.
Okay, Paul. So we are discussing essentially, the Zoom API and the Zoom SDK. So I think for the full house that we have today, Paul, if you could just share, high-level insights on how these customers can use these two platforms and the API and
absolutely.
the SDK.
Absolutely. So at Zoom, one of the things that we've really tried to pride ourselves on is the extensibility of the Zoom platform and making that available to all sorts of different types of use cases and things. And so with this relationship, we're really ecstatic because we get a lot of demand from our customers that are wanting to do large events and hybrid events and those types of things for their organization. And as a meetings platform, a lot of people know Zoom for our quality and for our scalability and security and all those things together and really delivering that happiness. But with this combination, we feel like we're getting into some new modes of collaboration and communication and such. And so our APIs are fairly well documented in terms of providing that capability for people to create meetings and change meetings and all those different types of things. And our SDKs are fairly robust to allow developers to bring the Zoom experience into whatever applications and platforms they have and provide levels of customization on top of that. So at the end of the day, we want our ecosystem to focus on their business and what they want to be able to deliver. And as Zoom, we want to be able to provide as best we can our level of happiness, our strategy, our video, and those things together, and provide really a toolkit for developers to take Zoom into their applications and really fulfill on their needs. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Paul. Coming to the SDK part, I think a lot of the enterprise users probably don't realize that we can embed the entire Zoom experience inside the apps as well. And I think going forward with custom SDK, we can even have them invisible in terms of the customers bringing in their own UI and still using the Zoom backend. So that's phenomenal options. And I think as we move forward, I think one of the key things is roundtables. And I think roundtables structurally are nothing but the meetings that we are used to. But the thing about events is, I think, Paul, we discussed this earlier, is that one of the differences between a scheduled meeting and a roundtable is the whole concept of intention. When you schedule a Zoom meeting, it's intentional that you want to speak to somebody. And when you put it in the context of an event, well, then you're looking at someone that you did not know. So it's imagine lunch with Warren Buffett or, talk to Elon Musk, things like that.
Yeah.
And these are sort of, it captures this. And I don't know, Paul, if you've been through many of these use cases recently or as just an attendee. And so any thoughts on that would be, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's that level of spontaneity, I think, that from a physical event that I think people really gravitate to and being able to have that experience. But now, having to do a lot of these things virtually, that's what we see a lot of our customers and end users kind of yearning for is, hey, it's great in terms of doing the event and doing the in session kind of in the moment. But there's all these kind of sidebar conversations and connections and things that we're really interested in as well. So how could we help facilitate those things, which I think you guys have really been on top of and really building your platform around those things as well and capturing that experience.
Yeah, well, we've had amazing, so in fact, just one event that's happening in a couple of weeks where we're using Zoom for a large services firm is where they have pre-assigned these roundtables to groups of about 70 people each. And then the CEO or the president, he keeps hopping between the different tables. and they don't know a Zoom ID. They don't need a Zoom ID. They just go to the web platform and then they start using that. And based on your department, you're pre-assigned. And then using the breakout feature of Room, you can further then go back in groups of 5 or 7, discuss and then again come back. So it's like a sub roundtable effect using that. We've had charities that typically monetize this feature. So they sell roundtables from anywhere for, $5,000 upwards for each roundtable. So they are sponsors for roundtables, and you get a seat. And believe me, it's such a big thing. I mean, many of these events have as many as 70 to 80 roundtables. And so one thing that you see as the first point is that there's no separate license that you need. With this partnership, you'll automatically be assigned a meeting ID, and you don't even need to know meeting ID, etc. You just log into the E2m app or the web, and you just go as if it's a normal, journey, and it automatically pulls up Zoom as an app, or it would pull up your own native app with Zoom embedded in it, which is exactly the second point, Paul, what we discussed, the SDK. And one of the things is, I think most Zoom users are not used to hopping in and out of their meetings, or hopefully they don't. Generally when you're in a Zoom call, you are you are in a Zoom call, right? You don't. But what happens, what we've seen in, like, for example, organizations like BNI, I don't know if you've heard of them, which is like a large entrepreneurship focused networking event, is you jump into a table. If you enjoy the conversation, you stay there, or you go to the next round table, or you skip to the next round table. And that sort of gives you the spontaneity to discover what you need. And you could again use the Zoom app, or you could just have Zoom embedded on the web. So it's very frictionless. You don't need, nothing needs to be initiated again and again.
Yeah.
So
no, that's
something
great.
like this, actually, this could be, for example, the multiple roundtables. They can be, and you can indicate how many people are in there. You can also create an inventory. So you can say only 6 people in the roundtable. So if there are 6 people, then it would not allow you to get in the roundtable. You would have to wait for your chance, and only when it's available can you get in. So it creates that things where you rush to get into the roundtables. And again, E2m. So, we see that all the time. We have that, and we have something known as a spectate feature as well, Paul, where if it's a very popular roundtable, let's say something like chat with Elon Musk, $10,000 for a minute kind of a charity event, for example. And if you have only 6 places, then you just wait in line. And as people get off the roundtable, you get to go in. Or you could just open up for people to watch, like a spectate mode. And what we do then is we spin up in real time the sort of webinar mode for Zoom. So even though it's a roundtable, like a guest in webinar, you are just watching the conversations happening. So
I think what I love
really
about this, Sid, is the fact that you guys have kind of bridged that gap between, these kind of activities and things that take place in the physical world, and bringing that into the virtual world in a very easy way, where anyone could come to the site, as I can see, right, and understand almost immediately, hey, this is the table I want to go to. This is how I can join, and it becomes very natural to them, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason we put up roundtables as the first sort of use case was it's probably the most often used. In fact, people just don't leave the roundtables. That's another problem. And unless you kick them out, unless you forcefully end the session, they just don't leave the roundtables. And we have it in almost every event. Every single day of the week, we have, tens of customers using the roundtable feature every single day of the week, and we notice this. So we are usually advised that put the roundtable either just at the beginning of your session or at the end, so that even if they don't leave, they can go on in the evening with that. So the other point, a very big part of the event experience, and Paul, you've probably been to many events yourselves as an attendee or even as a sponsor, is the fact that nobody gets a conference room or a ballroom and does not put their branding. You know, essentially an event is all about the branding. And when you came to the lobby this morning, you probably saw something like that. And I think one thought about Zoom has been that, oh, I have to always adapt to a standard look and feel. That's not how events look like, right? And that's why the Zoom sort of so-called Zoom fatigue sometimes is spoken about in the media. But what the enterprise customers don't realize is that you can use Zoom and brand it around Zoom. So, one example on the screen is you can actually put your own branding on top. And in fact, the attendees today are getting this meeting streamed to a web browser, and then they have the entire branding uh, across, on them. So they are not seeing Zoom today per se. I mean, Zoom is powering this experience, but they are seeing a whole branded experience. And I think branding is so important to an event, because that's one reason why I've been sort of on different sides of an event as a producer, as a planner, and now as a vendor. And I've noticed that, we guys always think about technology and 1080p and 720p and all the tech stuff, but the event planners are really conscious about branding. They get more upset by an additional comma in their description than some of the tech stuff. So this is another way of doing the webinar invocation. So I think a lot of the customers of Zoom have probably used the standard webinar module, but you can see an RTMP stream, which is what is happening today, where this session is being streamed to the E2M section, and it can also be streamed to social sites. I think the social sites are pretty popular, but with custom RTMP, they can stream it to their own private intranets, to their own private platforms, so that if you're having a shareholder meeting, you don't need to have that broadcast on Facebook, for example, but you would like it on your private event site. And of course, even when you're on the web, when you're using Zoom SDK, it can be seamless on the web. You need not have a desktop client being invoked. And yet, because it's Zoom, it would still help you from a firewall perspective and VPN perspective. So sort of different ways to get it done. And this is another screen. So just to give you a sense that this probably doesn't look to you like Zoom at all, but Zoom can still be the backend to enable webinar experiences like that and allow you to brand it in any way. So branding is really key. And so jumping to the trade show part, Paul, we have all have been in trade shows, and one of the biggest things is the virtual trade shows that are coming up, and you can see some at the back. What we've done here, Paul, is that we've actually allowed every exhibitor to have like a walk-in video room. So you're not just getting collateral, sales collateral. You can actually speak to the booth staff or speak one-to-one with the booth staff or as a general room. So this again can invoke a standard Zoom app, but it could also play on the browser or embedded right in your experience, as you know, from the SDK. So just to give you a sense, this is an event actually starting tomorrow. We've obviously changed the data. So this is just one look. This is like another look for a booth. But then as you see people chatting, you would actually chat using Zoom in real time with the booth staff. And it takes away that whole friction of just seeing, the website feel. It's not a website that you just get collateral. You actually engage in a conversation, again, powered by Zoom. So any thoughts on that, Paul? How does it look to you?
No, this is great. I mean, again, it's really helping the user and customers, really kind of immerse themselves in the experience. And to your point, Sid, it's not getting all hung up on the technical pieces, which we often do, but it's that really blurring the lines between these technologies and those experiences. So then to the user, this is a very familiar experience to them. that they probably want to be curious about, that they want to engage with. And I think, that provides itself a really great platform for people to experience these types of events for sure.
Absolutely. And then there's another nifty thing over there, which you don't see here, but we have is something known as exchange business card. So trying to replicate that old world. I've not had a business card printed for over a year now. And I don't know when did I give my business card personally to anybody in the last 1 year, but you can actually you can exchange your business card, you get a copy of all the collateral right away, and then the vendor, the exhibitor actually gets it in the CRM. And so that, you exchange all the sales material, and then you enter into a video conversation and move forward. So the other thing, Paul, and I'm rushing a little bit, but not too much, is the fact that, I think events have this one-to-many, which is what we call as webinar, right? Or we have these roundtables, which is sort of many-to-many. You're having a group discussion. But events also have this unique thing of meeting people that you've never met before. I think that's one of the biggest essence of a meeting is the serendipity, is the unintentional meeting. You never knew Melvin, for example, but because you go to an event, you meet that person, you exchange business cards. So we are trying to remove the success by chance factor, because usually if you go to a physical event, you need to be a good networker. You need to say hello to 10 people, and then some people are shy; they don't do that. So again, using Zoom, what we're doing here is that not only enabling them to request like a request approved journey, but also something like a chance-based video meetings where they automatically match you with a person belonging to a group. So just imagine you want sales and marketing to become friends again, and people from sales are mapped to marketing, or you are classed as a vendor in a B2B conference, and somebody is a customer, he's looking for AI, he's trying to sell AI, and then again, they are randomly matched. And again, we use Zoom as the final delivery mechanism. So after the AI does the matching, Zoom delivers the video experience there. And again, this is, I would say, after Roundtable, this is the most popular use case. A lot of the events are actually using pre-scheduled meetings. So they would log in 3 days before, 1 week before, and actually schedule meetings. But the chance-based meetings, or we call it speed networking, is equally popular. So I don't know if you've been part of any of these speed networking or these things recently.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I think both attending these types of events, but also participating or being a presenter, I often find these types of engagements after the fact, as far as the larger kind of one-to-many, as you mentioned, are probably just as, if not more valuable to both parties, right? And making that connection even easier, because I could find myself often walking the floor trying to find people, or you're texting them or whatever, but you're taking a lot of that friction out of that process, and probably make it even better than a physical event, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic.
Actually, this is a good segue into, so these are essentially what you achieve for one-to-one with Zoom. But this is a great segue into what's essentially the larger theme of going hybrid. I think this is a point where we will, wrap up the short session and go to a roundtable just to see how, talk to some of the attendees casually. But Paul, what we are seeing is that the world is what I call going Pareto hybrid. And I'll just explain what I mean by that. I think we all understand Pareto, which is the 80-20 principle of 20% of the people, doing 80% of the work, right? Which is applicable to so many situations. But before this pandemic, it was already moving that way. But what we have seen is that it's expedited that change in behavior by 10 years. So just moving off from events for a second, if you take, for example, your habits of watching Netflix versus going to AMC or a movie theater, you would still probably do that when things go back. But if you would see the ratio, if you see your entire sort of hours spent on entertainment, you would see that you're doing both Netflix and going out, but 80% of the time is on Netflix. Same with shopping. I'm sure shopping on Amazon, you're not going to stop going to the malls, but you are going to do both. And what we're finding is that 80% of the time you would go to something like Amazon versus going to the mall, but you're still going to go there. This was expected to happen in 2030. This year has expedited that. Similarly to events, we don't see events happening entirely physical. Imagine the next physical meeting you have, and you say, okay, I'm going to go back to my room. And if you cannot log in and keep watching the session, that's like, oh, what an old school event is that? So we've actually already started doing hybrid events. In fact, coincidentally, just before this event, starting a couple of hours ago, we had another event from a large customer where they had people joining in from Zoom from different locations, and some people were physically in the studio chatting face to face. And that was then wrapped up in something like Wirecast, and again, streamed using RTMP, which E2m provides. So essentially, this is the, it might be a little overwhelming for some of our customers, but I think it's a very useful, because this is something that can help you understand how this world evolves from 2021, 22, and beyond. So what you're seeing on your left is a live camera feed of a physical event, which we call in real life. But at the same time, you have folks joining in from Zoom, and they are mashed up together using an encoder software, which could be a free software like OBS or something like Wirecast, vMix. I think people in the events industry, they know and they're very familiar with these kind of tools. An RTMP server is what we provide as the E2m backend. And then you can stream it. You can stream it to Facebook, YouTube, you can stream it to E2m, or you could stream it to any other player. And along with the streaming, you put in engagement tools like gamification, polling, Q&A at different locations. And this means that you're really putting it all together into an everlasting hybrid situation. So that, I think, is probably the biggest game changer, not just in events, but in our behavior in general. And any wrapping up thoughts on that, Paul, would be great.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head, Sid, in terms of, I think this opens up a lot of doors. I think the acceleration of this space has definitely happened. I mean, I know even personally, I think people are culturally more looking at, is this available online? Can I order something? Your example of shopping. And then I maybe want to go to the physical location, but keep my time there to a limited amount of time. And so kind of bringing those two worlds together, and then also streaming into a lot of different platforms gives a lot of people a lot of different choices, to consume that information. And I would argue probably increases your reach in terms of who you want to influence, who you want to connect to, and things, which is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we are seeing, Paul, and in fact, we have been amazed, is that when we started this whole virtual side of events, we were thinking people could not sit for more than 2 to 3 hours. So events are not going to be more than, say, lunchtime, like, or just towards the evening. And that really started like that. Then we started seeing events virtual happening one day, 3 days. And this month, for example, we have an event that is for 15 days. It's a 15-day virtual event. 1,500 attendees in different formats. Originally it was 10 days, and then they added 3 more days. And then two days for the weekend where you can network for, at your leisure. So we are clearly seeing that what you just rightly said, Paul, is that it's not only creating convenience, which is expanding the market. It's unheard of to have a physical event for 15 days. I think even
Right.
the largest events in Vegas are probably 5 days, or I'm not sure, maybe 10 at the most. But
Yeah.
5 is probably the
And
biggest
asking
on
people
top.
to be away from their families, or, there's a lot of, there's a lot of commitment and things that come with that, right? And you're providing a level of engagement, but also convenience too, which I think is oftentimes maybe overlooked sometimes with this, right? That kind of rethinking these types of events and things for people is definitely where things are headed. So.
And I think one of the benefits of this Zoom integration, Paul, is that it's probably the world's, and I'm going to make a very ambitious statement right now, it's the world's first no limit virtual platform, which essentially means any browser, any device. Most competing platforms that we've seen say that you need just Chrome, it can be on desktop. We are going any platform, any device. And that really is a big key. So this is just an example of Zoom being, how Zoom looks like when you feed it onto E2m. So this is probably familiar. Yeah. So with that, Paul, I know it's a quick chat, and again, my system. So yeah, I've taken the mulligan, and thanks for that. I'll return the favor if you need so. And thanks. We had a full house today. I can see the numbers. It's a full house. So thanks for that. And we'll just hop on to and if you go to the agenda, we'll just hop onto the roundtable and see if there are any people who want to have a quick chat and take it forward from there. But again, thanks, Paul, for your time this morning. We really deeply appreciate the partnership, and personally your commitment and your accessibility. It really means a lot.
Likewise, Sid. It's been great, and really looking forward to doing more. So appreciate it.